Hi guys, Mick here. So, wasn't able to do the entire video yesterday because it would have been over an hour, and that's a long old watch to see this old fart lighting fires. So what I've done, I'm splitting it up into two, hence this introduction. So in this one, you're basically I'm going to go through just three or four of my favourite fire lighting techniques and methodologies. Um, Systems that I like to teach and systems I also like to carry with me, going from old to new. And you've seen me do many other types of fire lighting over the years. So, yeah, hit me back in the comments if there's anything you particularly would like to see, fire lighting wise, fire method wise, and that. Let me know, and I'll endeavour to do it for you. Anyhow, let's get on with the video. So there we go. That was a fire lit using Mickey's favourite methods for the environment that I'm within. So like I say, in beech woods and that, do you need to make feather sticks? No, if you know your materials, I mean, you're looking for these fallen branches, wind-blown branches that come out the tops of the trees. They are 1.5 millimeters diameter. Okay, so if you have those, why do you need feather sticks? Again, if you're in a pine woodland, the wind-blown pine browse tips that you'll find on a lot of pines, exactly the same sort of thing. And it's not hard to harvest. I mean, you can literally bunch it up like that. So you can make feather sticks. Feather sticks are awesome. Okay, but that's I'm gonna put this right. Okay, so the feather sticking, that's using a bushcraft technique. Bushcraft, great survival skills, being out in the wild and that technique. But there are other techniques about there, and these are techniques and methods that indigenous people have used for a long time. Okay, yes, when you're prepping your fire supplies for the winter, those long drawn out nights, you could sit there, make 100 feather sticks. It'll make good sense, common sense. Okay, but we're coming more to preparing a home, a long-term shelter when you come into that. So what did I have in my pack? Well, that's just a piece of natural fibre rope, just a piece of hemp rope. I think it's a hemp rope, but it's a natural fibre. There are many different materials used to make these, and again, before I reload that kit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an end, because it does take a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, and I'm just going to fluff it up. I'm going to prep it. Then if I have to go to it in an emergency situation at another time, it's almost ready to go. Now, there is a downside to these natural fibre ropes and that is, if you're not careful, they get damp. When they get damp, they're done. Okay, so what you want to do is keep it, like I do, in a sealed container, and just in case that does get damp and it starts to struggle, I've got a little bit of fat wood in there, so I can take some fat wood shavings, right? If need be, split that piece of fat wood in a genuine emergency and sacrifice it. It's something I can recollect, reharvest at a later date. But this is pretty much it's not an out and about kit. This is what I have loaded up with me in my emergency prepared kit. It is pretty much like a, last ditch survival box. If I've got to go to that, or if I've forgotten my kit and I need to use it, it's there. And within that, there is that little bag there, which, like I said before, I'm not going to open and use, because that is some pre-prepared fat wood. There are some plectrums there which make brilliant fire lighters, some windproof matches. So within that little tub, really and truthfully, what I'm looking at is a last, well, I suppose you call it last ditch. It's a supply of kit and equipment that in an emergency I know I can rely on to get fire going. And that is part of your, or should be part of your mindset, okay? Now, the reason I'm making this video is not to diss bow drill, it's not to diss hand drill, because those are all techniques that I think everybody should learn. You should learn them, okay? They're great methodologies, great systems. Likewise, when you're coming out in the woods, you should be prepared in both your skill set and your equipment for most situations. So, when you're out in the, when you live in a very rural environment or remote environment, you're always going to be prepared. You're always going to have kit. You're going to have gear with you. And again, I'm doing it again, aren't I? Mickey's using that damn GI stove. Why is Mickey using GI stove? Because it's good. Nicky, but you could make your coffee over the open fire. It would be so aesthetically pleasing. It would. But it would soot that up. More cleaning, more hard work. So, I'm just going to do it on my meth stove and then have a bit of a chat to you about thought processes, or my own thought processes. These I won't recommend to, well, say recommend them. This is how I think of it. So let's start all that again. Okay. So I'm going to make a brew. So meth stove, temperature's dropping again. Cigarette lighter, okay, go-to piece of equipment. I want to make a brew and I want to make it in a hurry. I don't want to be rubbing two sticks together to make me a brew. Water. Stove. Over fire. Lid on, and civilised human being, spoon. Gotta have a spoon. What have I got today? Got an Irish cream or an instant latte. Woo. So let's get into this thought process on fire. Let's move that to one side for you. So my thought process on fire, as you see there, no feather sticks, no accelerants, no pads, no nothing other than a bit of natural fibre rope. Now you could substitute that natural fibre rope for cotton wool balls. They're my next favourite ones. When I'm teaching people, one of the things I teach them, you know, that should be a survival pack. So you cotton wool ball, smeared with a bit of Vaseline. Okay, firelighter. And Vaseline as a prepper and survivalist should be one of your go-to bits of kit. It's not just as an accelerant, as a medical aid, as a backup, as something to use, as a piece of material. It can light fire. If it's not lighting fire, it can be used to treat windburn, chaps, sores, rubs. It can waterproof things. I can smear it onto the fibre rope, okay? That would make a good fire lighting system. So back to my ferro rod. Ferrocerium rod. Why do I carry a ferrocerium rod? Well, I'll be honest with you, my first go-to in reality, not in my videos, in reality, in the real world, is my matches, or my lighter usually. My next, I have it backed up with a ferrocerium rod. Why? Cotton wool balls, you've all seen this. Cotton wool balls, ferro rod, fire. This is quick and easy as that. Smear that with Vaseline. That'll burn for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and again would have got those fine twigs burning for me. So that would have been a brilliant go-to. Okay, so that's cotton wool ball. I can add to cotton wool balls, I can add things like a bit of cedar bark, which again fluffs up into fine materials, and I could use that to help build a fire. That is modern world. Next favoured one in a northern climate is good old silver birch. Silver birch, absolutely superb. Okay, silver birch as a firelighter, as a natural firelighter, is pretty much second to nothing, because it is flammable. The oils in it will catch a I'm losing it today, come on Mickey. Okay, silver birch, you can scrape up a bit of silver birch. It's not the best bit of silver birch because it's very, very old, but you can scrape up a bit of silver birch, hit it with a ferro rod, slight spark, it lights. And again, or you can go to your cigarette lighter, light it, and the natural oils in silver birch bark are impressive. Okay, as a fire lighting aid, absolutely brilliant. You can then add to that a bit of cedar bark again, so that acts as your tinder, and create fire. Bloody wind. That is a cold, I tell you now guys, that is a really bitterly cold winter day. So there we go, I see the bark's ignited. So now small twigs on that, build it up again. Okay. Nice thing with cedar bark, as you see there as well, it holds an ember. So again, if you hit that with a spark and you can get an ember going in it, okay, you've got something to extend that ember with. Those of you guys out there doing your bow drill, if you can get this stuff and you can dry it well enough, how well does that go? Okay, put that in the fire pit. Start some natural fibres, wind's getting up. Bit of char cloth. This is one of my favourites. I do love a bit of flint steel. It's out of all the old primitive methods, it is probably my favourite. A couple of bits of flint, fibre steel. Want a nicer edge. As quick and easy as that. My char cloth's going. You see char cloth smouldering there. Push char cloth into my tinder bundle. And we have fire. Okay, easy as that. Easy as that. Now, I could extend that. If I wanted to extend it, I could use a bit of cedar bark again. I fluff the cedar bark out. Place that on there. That acts as an extender. And by extenders, what we're talking about is that next stage. You're talking about that next stage where you're going from your fine fluff of materials, which generate a fair bit of heat, but aren't going to last very long, to something that will last a bit longer and will generate a bit more heat. You could also, if you wish to, take it up with a bit of silver birch bark. You could add a bit of bark to that. That will catch quite readily. There we go, that's a way. So again, you can extend your fire. So we have there flint and steel, cotton wool balls. Great methods, old and new, done together. You can combine these methods. You can definitely combine the science. You could take a wax pad, place a wax pad onto that now. That would extend that fire and create even more heat. Okay, so that's methods you can go to. You can use things like King Alfred's cakes as an extender. You can also use them to collect sparks and create fire with. Okay, so again, another great tool to have in your box. You can go with modern. Oh, look at that! We've lost it. We've lost it. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier on. You can lose your fire. You can bring your fire back again. Having the knowledge, practice the skills, gain the knowledge. Okay, it brings a confidence to you, and once you've got that confidence, you start playing with all your different techniques, methods. You start looking at other ones, and again, it's why I won't diss bow drill. Again, within the survival world, there are people that will not go near bow drill. Okay, it's a hard technique to master. It's a hard technique to learn. So next we have the humble silver birch. Humble silver birch, probably the survivor for our, or the most important tree for our ancestors in the Northern Hemisphere. So I've scraped up a bit of silver birch. And it will light off a ferrocerium rod, as simple as that. You can then add a bit more silver birch, a bit more silver birch, and you have fire. And the methodology for that is quite simple. Piece of silver birch, scrape it down to the pink layer, scrape up dust. When you've got the dust, hit it with a spark. So what does this keep taking us back to? This keeps taking us back to the spark. Okay, whether you use friction to create ember to start your fire, whether you use flint and steel, whether you use a ferrocerium rod, that spark is the essential thing that you need. Okay, now once you've got that spark, it's knowing how to use your tinders, knowing how to gather your resources. That takes time and effort. You've actually got to get out, look around, find them, gather enough, right? And my golden thought process myself is don't ever gather enough, gather more than enough. Gather double what I need, triple what I need. A big pile of tinder makes your fire lighting system so much easier because you're not fighting for resources, and that takes time. And even in wet, cold, damp environments like this, they're out there if you learn to spot them, learn to look for them. Now it's techniques like this that kept our ancestors going. These are all techniques and methods, every single one of them that we've done today would be recognisable to our ancestors, even if we did the bow drill. Now the reason I've not done bow drill today is, again, there are a couple of other channels that covered it just lately, and I don't want to take the credit away from them because they've absolutely cracked it. So Island Jason, or Find Your Friends with Island Jason on YouTube, brilliant guy. Cracked the bow drill mystery. Sticks Outdoors, Jess Outdoors, and Life's a Hobby, all guys that have recently covered the bow drill and given all the right information, absolutely the right information. And the bow drill itself, if you, it's a technique that I would encourage everybody to learn. Go out and learn it. It's a rite of passage. The first fire you make with a bow drill, is an incredible thing. Okay, you will never ever forget it. It's also a lesson in patience, endurance. It's not something you will do first time. You can cheat, you can go buy a kit, but really what you need to do is learn how to salvage the materials from the environment around you to do it. So lastly, now my coffee's made, let's give you a modern system. And again, another good system to stick in your survival kit, in your prepper kit, in your emergency kit, in your car. Okay, this is a system that requires a little bit of respect. Or my coffee. So let's come to a modern technique method that you could use, and again would be a very good system to carry in your kit. Alright, so this potassium permanganate makes a very good water purifier, makes a very good wounds treatment, antifungal. That's 101 uses in the survival world. You don't need a huge amount of it. A little bottle like that stuck in your kit, and that is just a vape juice. Okay, that's all that is vape juice. It's a glycerin. So all we do with that, make a little divot in there, add the glycerin to the vape juice, or the vape juice to the potassium permanganate I should say, and just leave it to sit. Okay, so it's starting to bubble, starting to smoke, time to get smoke inside you. There we go. A very extremely hot. Now again, this sort of fire lighting technique requires a little bit of respect and a little bit of sense. It is hydroscopic, you've got to keep it dry, but that always lives in my emergency kit. I can sterilise water with it, I can treat wounds with it, purify things, clean them, I can light fire with it. Those two items, it's a modern bit of gear, been used for a long time, and should be a piece of equipment in your gear, a piece of knowledge. So where am I going with this? Where's this taking me? Well, that's just a few random firelighting techniques that I carry and teach. There are many others. There's fire extension, so learning how to carry the fire all day like our ancestors did. If you're moving camp from camp to camp, it's learning to carry an ember with you rather than having to create an ember. So you can do that using fungi. That's the most common and the most recognised method. Okay. There are woods that will smoulder. There would have been people with our ancient nomadic ancestors. There would have been people in the group that would have been their sole job. They would have been so highly respected within the group because of that skill set, that knowledge of keeping and protecting the fire being so important. You can use rubbers as fire extenders if you had to, and it's not environmentally friendly, so it's not something we practice normally. But if it was a genuine survival situation, rubbers, plastics, anything that you have to hand that will ignite and burn is going to be a friend. It's going to be something you would use. As a day-to-day practice, I don't do it, purely simply because it's polluting and I don't want to pollute my environment. But if it was a survival situation, of course you're going to. Yeah, you're not daft, you're going to survive that situation. So also look at your kit, look at what you're wearing, look at what you're carrying. Are they nylons, or are they plastics, are they rubbers, right? How many of those can you use? Your Ranger bands on your tins are rubber. Why did Ranger bands come about? Well, not only do they work as a great elastic band substitute, but they also make a really good fire substitute, or fire source, because rubber burns for a long time, extremely hot, and ignites very easily. So other bits and pieces I like to carry in my kit, I'll show you. I like to make these. There's a little vac packed kit there, and in there I've got some hemp rope already fluffed, I've got some cotton wool balls and Vaseline, I've got some wax pads, I've got some little cedar fire aids, I've got a plectrum. Again, in a little pack like that, chucked away in the bottom of your gear, stuck there with that, or a ferrocerium rod, I've got ready fire whenever I need it. Oh, it is cold today, it is cold. So what else was I going to talk about whilst I'm here? Yeah, great channel, Roaming Ray, has found on eBay a company selling these solid fuel tablets. Hexamine's banned in the UK, so we couldn't use solid fuel tablets, okay, because the majority of them are solid fuel. He's found these, and there's no smell of hexamine. They're selling them legally as a solid fuel tab. They work quite well. So those of you with your solid fuel stoves you want to go to, you can now use these. Excuse my hands. It is bitterly cold out here today. We are with the wind chill, we are about -1. There's a solid fuel tab, burns easily. You can use that with your solid fuel stove quite easily. One, I've tried it at home. One tablet will make 250 mils of water hot enough to make a decent hot drink. 2 tablets to boil it. Okay, now you can buy these on Amazon. I bought 16 of them for £10 just to try them out. And as I say, there's none of that hexamine. Well, no, there is a little bit of that solid fuel tab smell, but it's very, very slight. They say they're non-toxic. Hexamine was toxic. That's one of the reasons why it was banned. So they're out there, you can get them. There is an alternative for your solid fuel tablets. Okay, I didn't think it would take very long for a company to come up with something as a replacement, because it was quite a big market, it was quite a big go-to, especially in the camping, prepping, survival world. There will be a link in the description to those of you that are interested, or dive over to Roaming Ray's channel, have a look, see what you think. Right, I'm going to get on with the coffee, I'll enjoy a fire, and I'm going to pack up and go home. So there we go, guys. That was a cold day yesterday. I can tell you, my hands are still aching now. The joints in my fingers were giving me hell. I was finding it very difficult with the manipulation, as you may have noticed in the video. And I did think to edit some of those bits out, but no, leave them in there. It's the reality of it. As we get older, some of the things we do become a little bit more difficult. So again, things like bow drill and that are skills to master, something to learn. It's something that I took a long time learning and figuring out, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But for me to do bow drill today, now, with my hands, with the recovering injuries that I've got, it's difficult for me to get down. It's hard for me to manipulate. It's a struggle. So find techniques that work. Find techniques that you can use alongside or as alternatives. Never go out with one fire lighting source. Always go out with at least 2. Okay? Always have a backup. Things go wrong. That's my thought process there. Anyhow, the solid fuel tablets, Goddura solid fuel tablets, these are brilliant. Okay, for those of you that really are missing your Hexamine and got your Hexamine burners and want to have something back again, these are on Amazon. £9.99, I believe, for 16, and as you get more and more in quantities, those prices come down. They work really, really well. Grab these, get them now, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. Somebody might turn around and go, "Oh, it's nasty, let's ban it." Okay, grab them now while you can, stock them up. Other than that, guys, get outdoors, practice your skills. Find a technique that works for you, master it, move on. If you're going to go into bow drill, and I suggest everybody does bow drill because it's a technique well worth mastering. It is a good technique. It's a great system. It's a rite of passage. It teaches you endurance. It teaches you how to overcome. And when you crack it, as Find Your Friends Island Jason did, mate, it will light you up inside. It lights a fire in you as well as on the ground. Other than that, it's enough waffling from this old fart. Guys, wherever you are in this world of ours, have a great day. Get outside, have an adventure, do something, enjoy yourself, maybe learn a new skill. Other than that, okay, love those you do, forgive those you don't, and may peace and light be upon you all in this absolutely glorious world that is ours. Till next time, Mickey out.